How to heal acne and rosacea at the cause level so it permanently goes away forever. This video is in 3 parts. The first part is if you have acne and rosacea, my heart goes out to you and I'm going to ask you deeper questions and help you. Number 2, I'm going to share with you my own story of having rosacea, an extreme case of rosacea over 7 years, and how I self-healed. And then I'm going to go into solutions and how to teach you over the next 2 weeks how you can start seeing results. I'm Georgie Holbrook. For the last 30 years, I've been teaching people about their natural ability to heal almost anything. So once you understand the body, it becomes easier and easier. You take charge of your own body. So let's begin with the questions. So the first question is, one day we didn't have it, right? You weren't born with acne and rosacea. And then one day you did. And what was the difference, right? So it came out of nothing, and then you had it. So the next question is, once you got it, did it show up like red in your face, pimples, acne, and then rosacea? There was a progression, right? And so as it persists, we end up, most of us, going to the doctor. And so when I went to the doctor, I had rosacea, an incurable, deforming, disfiguring disease. That's a big, heavy label. Incurable, right? That it's going to be permanent. And I bought into it, sort of. It was like, well, what is it? And how did I get it? And they couldn't answer that. So I did what hopefully you do. I went and I had someone else give me another opinion. So I went to 5 dermatologists really back to back, asking them the same question. But the results was the same. They wanted to medicate me, and I didn't want to be medicated. Back then, I just felt that medication wasn't what I was lacking, but man, I was lacking any kind of understanding about this human body. So I went on my own journey. I knew I was out of control. I knew that in the corporate world, I could solve all kinds of issues because I'm highly intuitive. But in my own life, no, zero. I knew nothing about this body. Normally, I didn't get sick. I just kept healthy, and then all of a sudden I got allergy shots. So I'm going to share with you my story. But we're going to go back to your questions. So one day, you and I scratch our arm, right? And our arm heals rather fast, even if it's a serious cut on our arm. So then we have to ask ourselves, so if my arm can heal, then what's the difference with my face, right? Is there a different cause? And the immune system that we have is working the same. So why wouldn't it work for my face? So we kind of challenge that incurable label, right? So here's my story. At age 36, I'm diagnosed with rosacea. I go to the dermatologist. They label me, right? And I decide, no, I'm going to go on my own way. That surely I can figure this out. But in my heart, I never wanted to be in this helpless position again where somebody diagnosed me and I have no answers, whether they're right or wrong or what direction to go in. So I wanted to study. I wanted to study my own immune system and be healthy and stay healthy. And that if I ever did have a health issue, I would understand at least how to give to myself while I was healing, whatever that was, right? So I went on the journey for the next 6 years. I thought it was going to be faster. And I studied with dermatologists, I studied with holistic practitioners and doctors, but I asked them all the same questions. So when I say I studied with them, I asked them this question. If you have a healthy cell today and a disease cell tomorrow, why can't it reverse? Kind of going back to why we scratch our arm and it heals, right? It's like, okay, the body cannot be as complicated as what I've been led to believe. You might want to write that one down. So over the last, 6 years then, I fasted, I did diet, thinking that maybe diet was a part of it. I did cleansing, I studied with every kind of holistic natural practitioner I could. So I studied a lot of modalities, progressively getting worse. So I couldn't find the answer. And I don't know about you, but as my face started getting worse and worse, it started deforming. And there was no solution. And my money was running out because insurance I could have went to the hospital or could have went the medical route, but I wanted to go naturally, and I was insistent that there has to be an answer to this here. It can't be that complicated because 2% of my face has this disease and the rest of my body looked healthy. So by the time I was 42, now my face has deformed and I'm losing a part of my eyesight. And I have a picture here that I can show you. So that's me at 42. Up to that point, I wouldn't let anybody take my picture, but you'll see how red and raw my face was. I was lancing boils and I was trying all these different things. Even aloe vera felt like battery acid. I don't know what battery acid feels like, but it really burned. So at 42 years old, it's like, oh my God, if I have to live the next 42 years this way, I can't do it. I have to find the solution. And the solution did come. So at 42 years old, I meet one doctor, a Korean doctor that understands the immune system. And he came to the United States to understand the immune system. And they were like, no, we teach you how to medicate it and how to cut it out. You know, that part of working on isolated body parts. And thank God for doctors. I'm not knocking doctors. But that's their study. But he wanted to go further. He wanted to understand how we self-heal because he was born and raised, no doubt, with ancestors that were into self-healing. So that's what he studied. And when I got to meet him, I had 1 hour with him. And I had this big file of all the different doctors I had been to. I had the original allergy shots that I had taken. And he's looking at those shots and he's like, oh, you had burnt out your immune system in the corporate world because I was working 12, 14 hours a day. And now these shots just took that immune system and it just went down. But he said that most people from those allergy shots eventually get arthritis or something else serious. But you, it showed up on your face. So here's his, in 1 hour, he says, you have an internalized quiver. Now I knew I had an internalized quiver, but I didn't know how to explain it. And nobody else ever asked what it, but he could take my pulse from my wrist and he could tell how each organ was what I call firing, how it was working together. And he said, you'll never heal. I want you to get this. You'll never heal with an internalized quiver. The body has to come back to calmness, the nervous system, so that the organs, the intelligence within this body can self-heal itself. So remember that. And then he said, you have to find peace within at whatever price it takes for you to figure that out. Now, peace within, folks, if you think of just peace, right, it sounds like such an easy answer, but it's not. It's not an easy answer because peace within was pretty foreign to me back then. So I went on my own journey. And I was like, okay, peace within. How am I going to find peace within? And so I'm just being led by the great divine into this workshop of 80 people shortly after being with this Korean doctor. And the 80 people were studying how to release fear and trauma and how our emotions actually show up in different physical health issues. And that was totally a new subject for me, that our emotions and our feelings had anything to do with it, because my way of going through life all the time was be strong, just be strong. And don't cry, and don't feel, and don't be real. I mean, that whole side of my life was just not real. And so here I'm in this workshop with 80 people, right? And I over a week, I start to watch them heal right in front of me. But I'm so paralyzed from being so traumatized with this red face that I'm sure that they're all looking at me. And what they did was they just kind of accepted me. And I started healing by listening to their stories and how the leaders were actually teaching them how to let go of some really horrible stories. And so over the next 2 weeks, I watched people heal. One lady had come in with a cane, and she did away with her cane. I watched people, because they would take if they were on medication, they took their medication, and that people just started cutting back on medication, because once they could share their story and release it, it was like a new life was being discovered. So from there, In the next 9 months studying with these folks, I had a whole new vision of what it's taken to heal. And in 9 months to 12 months, I not only self-healed my face, but my eyesight came back without medications. And I dedicated my life to the great God called by many different names to share my story and never look back, right? Of buying into that system. So the cause was internal and the effect was on my face. I really want you to get that. So over 50 doctors looked at my face, and so did I. I just thought from the neck up this was the problem. It wasn't. It was the engine, the mechanics of my body that needed to be brought back into alignment with the great divine, whatever you want to call it. And that's what I've been sharing ever since. So I'm Georgie Holbrook. And if you want to study with me, click the link below and let's go on to some solutions. So I healed many, many years ago, and you can see it just didn't come back and my eyesight's perfect. So let's begin. So the solution, number one, I'm going to read my notes here so that I'm on track with you. First of all, I'll tell you about a client that just came to me recently, a brand new client. She's been going to a talk therapist for like over 20 years. And she has this first hour with me and she goes, Georgie, nobody's ever talked about where I'm in balance and out of balance so clearly. And now you've given me hope and encouragement. And it was so fun just listening to her, because we can talk about our traumas and what's happened to us and the unfairness of life forever. We can just talk about it forever, but we're not going to budge it, because see, it's accumulated in our body. And that's what I teach, is how to release this and set you free to live your passion, not pain. But now we're looking at rosacea and acne. So the first thing is, I would like you to do for 2 weeks. These are solutions for 2 weeks. And you're going to go, oh, yikes, Georgie. I want you to fast from the media and in the blogs and in buying into the stories and adding to the stories about how to heal and my case is worse than your case and whatever. So it's like you take in all this, like taking in poison food. You're taking in these poison thoughts, right? And you're changing your own chemistry inside. So get away from that situation. And then stop believing that your face is incurable. Just really take in what I've shared with you today. And for 2 weeks, stay away from anybody and everybody and anything that's negative. Just stay away from it and just start noticing, because when you leave those situations, you're going to find that you're more moody, you're more scared, you're more fearful. And we want to just for 2 weeks, just follow me for 2 weeks, all right? And then you're going to do away with your addictions. So what happens when we have a health issue, especially when we feel that everybody's looking at us and we're afraid to look in the mirror and we curse the mirror and whatever, right? Some people do away with the mirror, is that we get this mentality that it's incurable, and we start circling down into this negative energy, right? And we come up with an addiction that keeps us numb, keeps us hypnotized. It might be cleaning, it might be worrying, it might be eating, it might be on the web, whatever that is, you know what that is. It's an addiction that we know is not good for us, but we're just caught in that memory, So coping in life is not healing, and numbing ourselves out with addictions to not feel is not helping this immune system either. So I hope you get that, okay? And the next one is, write in big letters, I'm going to trust my body to heal, just like Georgie did, and I can heal faster than her. It took her 7 years, but now that Georgie can teach me, I can learn faster than her. So write it down in big letters. I trust my body to heal, and let me help you prove to yourself that you can. That would be a bonus for you, is to really learn how to heal. And then let's go to the next solution, is that there's an emotion, many emotions behind the face. So if the face could talk, what would it tell you? So for me, if my face could have talked, it was like, what is it I'm not facing? And so there's a gift in it. So our body will give us pain in ways that we don't understand. So rather than medicating it, which is sometimes is a solution, we go, okay, if my body could talk, what would it tell me? So my face was telling me that I had been raped when I was 14 years old and I never told anybody. And in order to push that down deep, what I did is I worked. I took on a work addiction that almost killed me because I had given up on my life. I didn't care what happened to my life. I really didn't. And I needed to heal that. So if I would have had it on my back, I probably wouldn't be alive today. So my face became my gift, right? And I want it to be your gift too, that there's something behind it. There's some effect behind it. There's some story behind it. So we want to heal that. And then dedicate your life to learning about your body, mind, and soul and how they work together, not separate. So taking time. So sometimes we have to have a health issue in order to stop us, right? And so what's left here? You have a sacred self, your body, mind, and spirit. And that's what we want to embrace today. And just believe with me, I can heal. I can heal greater than Georgie did. So I'm Georgie Holbrook, and I start my clients with an evaluation that I've created over the last 30 years that can show you in an hour where you're in balance and out of balance. But I'm going to show you visually so you actually get a picture of where you're in balance, because there's a saying, you can't see the trees for the forest, and we can't see where we need to begin without some way of knowing, right? And so we do trial and error remedies, but that just leaves us out there in the desert somewhere still guessing. But I can teach you. So click on the link below. I'm sure you're interested in working with me after you've heard all these stories, but I would be delighted. So just click on the link below and I will contact you soon. And together, we can not only heal ourselves, but we can live by an example for the people around us and our families and whatever, that we don't have to be stuck in diagnosis, especially with people looking at our face and being so embarrassed and not wanting to look in the mirror, and all those stories I shared with you earlier. So from my heart to yours, feel the energy. I've written 5 books, you see those. Anyway, sign up. I look forward to having you contact me, and together we can make a difference in your life and in the lives around you. Take care. Love you. Bye now.